Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing a natural soft matte look. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. First things first, I like to moisturize my face because I want to make sure my face is very moisturized. I like to use the Nivea Cream moisturizer because it's very hydrating for my skin, considering I do have dry skin or what others may consider combination. I get dry everywhere else, and then on my nose, for some odd reason, it gets oily, but that's the only place to get oily. And now I'm just adding on some SPF because shortly after this video, I will be going outside. And want to make sure that you rub that all the way in before moving on to your primer. And the primer that I'm going to be using is the Milk Hydra Grip. And I like to use this primer because it helps everything stay in place directly where I place it. Now this step is optional, but I like to put some translucent setting powder all over my face, especially around my nose, because again, I get the most oiliest around my nose, and this will help absorb some of that oil. But I also go in with this powder so that my foundation will stay in place as well and kind of stay matte, at least for a few hours, if not longer. Again, it is optional. And now I'm just carving out my brows, and I like to use a concealer that's the same shade as my skin tone and just lightly carve out my brows. It's best to use a brush when doing this step, a concealer brush. Me personally, I just use the applicator that came with the brush because I was on a time crunch, and just lightly blend that out. And I love this concealer because it blends with my skin so well. So the days that I really don't want to wear any foundation, I can simply not wear any and just conceal in certain areas. So I love that. And then you repeat the same steps on the opposite side. And then I'm also going to carve out the top. Now, some people don't have to carve out the top. It just depends. For me, I do because I have a very high arch and I have to kind of cover that and make it look more rounded, and it's just a natural arch for me, so I have to kind of conceal it a little bit. And everything that I use will be listed down below in the description box. And even though it may look like I'm using a lot of concealer at the top of my brows, I'm really not. But you want to make sure that you use enough so that it conceals whatever that you need to conceal. Any like shadows or anything above your brows, but a little does go a long way, especially at the top of your brows. But it looked like I used a lot, but I really didn't. So now I'm just taking that same concealer and I'm concealing underneath my eyes, as well as I'm going to conceal some of those dark spots on my face. They are fading away, so I don't, don't really need as much concealer. I normally don't do any type of concealer before going in with my foundation because I really don't need it. The foundation that I use is medium to full coverage, as well it is buildable, so I don't really have to do much with that. And I know I look crazy, but it will come together in the end. And I'm just using a little bit of the concealer everywhere that I feel is needed. And then I'm going to blend it out. And on my brush, I did spray a little bit of setting spray, which you didn't see in the video because that part got edited out by mistake, but it's fine. And I'm just lightly blending it out. I am going to blend out underneath my eyes a little bit later once I've finished blending out the rest of this concealer. For a more full coverage concealer, you want to let it sit for 2 minutes and then blend it out. Now I'm just going to go in with my foundation, and I'm only using a little bit considering I did add the concealer on already. And I added it to my most problem areas first, and I'm just blending that out. And I love this foundation because it blends so good with my skin. And a little goes a long way, but like I said, it is buildable. So if you feel you need more in certain areas, it is buildable. And I do apologize about my voice. I am a bit sick. So I'm trying to do this voiceover the best that I can. So bear with me, please. And I may have let this concealer sit under my eyes a little longer than I wanted it to, but it still turned out perfect. So I'm just blending out the edges first before going directly in underneath my eyes. And I love the coverage that it gave, and I do love the brightness that it gave, but I felt like it wasn't as bright as I wanted it to be. So a bit later on, I am going to add on another concealer. And I'm not going to be putting on any shadows with this particular look because, again, I am on a time crunch. So I'm trying to hurry up and do a little something before heading out the door. And now I'm just taking that remaining product that's on the foundation brush and blending out the edges of that concealer to make sure that the concealer blends in perfectly with the foundation. And I'm also going to go over my eye just a little bit with the foundation brush just to make sure that everything is perfectly blended together. And I'm going to do the same steps on the opposite side. On this side, I kind of put a little more foundation than what I wanted, but it'll still come together once I blend everything out. And whatever product is left on my brush, I'm going to add that on my nose. You want to add less product on your nose as possible. That will help control the oil as well. And just to brighten up my eyes just a little bit, I'm going in with a lighter concealer. But I did not put as much so it won't be super bright. It'll just be enough for what I need it for. Now I'm just going to set that concealer underneath my eyes. But first I want to make sure that I have no creasing underneath my eyes before going in and setting anything. Now everyone has natural creases under their eyes, but you also want to make sure that they're not visibly shown through your makeup. And I'm also setting my eyebrows because since I did add concealer around my eyebrows, I don't want my eyebrows to be slipping and sliding. And also, wherever you put that concealer, you want to add some setting powder, and I will add powder to the rest of my face once I'm finished. And I'm sorry guys, I ended up getting a phone call and it cut the rest of the video. Hope y'all liked the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The only thing I did after this was add some mascara.